Okay, so deep in the heart of Irish mythology, you've got this figure who is so much more than just a goddess of war. I mean, she's a shapeshifter, a kingmaker, and a terrifying phantom, all rolled into one. Her name is the Morrigan, and today we're going to try and unravel the incredibly complex threads of her power to figure out what she's really all about.
Right, so the very first thing you need to get your head around with the Morrigan is that she's a puzzle. Even the myths can't seem to make up their mind. Is she one single super powerful goddess, or is she actually a trio of divine sisters? And here's the kicker. As we're about to see, that confusion, that ambiguity, it's not a mistake in the storytelling. It's the source of her power.
Okay, let's think of it like this. Imagine one single massive shadow, but that one shadow is being cast by three completely distinct figures. That's her. She's a single powerful entity, but her power shows up in three different ways, with three different faces and three different jobs, and they're all working together.
So, what's her actual job? What's her core function? Well, at her very heart, the Morrigan is in charge of the absolute most critical moments you can imagine. That crossroads where life, death, and the right to rule all smash into each other. She is the ultimate decider of fate, whether you're on a bloody battlefield or in a king's throne room.
And this leads us to this really cool but kind of heavy concept called reactive morphology. Now, that's just a fancy way of saying she doesn't have one set form, at all. Instead, how she looks when you see her is a direct reflection of what's going on inside you. You know, your fears, your ambitions, even your right to be standing where you are. She's basically a divine mirror, showing you your own truth.
Now, this whole reactive thing, this is where we get to the real tension at the heart of her identity, because she plays two main roles that seem to completely contradict each other. On one hand, she's the Phantom Queen, a bringer of pure terror, and on the other, she's the Great Queen, a symbol of legitimate power and rule. So, how in the world can she be both?
All right, let's tackle the Phantom Queen first. This side of her is all about psychological warfare. I mean, pure mental games. Picture that shadow moving in the fog, or that tiny whisper of doubt that can make a hero's courage just crumble before the battle even starts. See, her goal isn't just to terrify you, it's to rip away all your bravado, all that false confidence, and test what you're really made of.
But then you flip the coin, and on the complete other side of that terror, you've got the Great Queen. This is the Morrigan as the embodiment of the land itself. She's not some ghost haunting a battlefield here. She is the ultimate stamp of approval, the one who says, yes, this king has the right to rule. She's all about law, order, and keeping the entire kingdom stable.
And this really breaks down that contrast, right? So on the one hand, you have the Phantom Queen. Her name comes from an old word for terror. Her whole game is played on the internal battlefield, inside your head, and her goal is to destabilize you. But on the other hand, you have the Great Queen. Her name comes from a word for great. She operates on the external stage, politics, the kingdom, and her goal is to bring stability. One is this terrifying crone, the other is this majestic, authoritative figure. Total opposites, or so it seems.
Okay, so how does she actually wield all this power over both your mind and the entire state? Well, she doesn't go it alone. She has a crew. Her will is carried out by a trinity, a sisterhood of 3 specialized agents, and each one has her own specific part of the conflict to manage. Let's break down who does what. First up, you have Bad Bib, whose title is The Frenzy. She's all about the pure physical horror and carnage of the battlefield. Then you've got Matcha. She represents sovereignty, and she's there to collect the price of the land, which, often means the heads of the enemies. And finally, rounding out this terrifying trio is Namine, the Venom. Her specialty? Driving entire armies insane with a single piercing scream.
And here's the crucial thing to understand. They work together as a complete system. This isn't just 3 separate war goddesses doing their own thing. No, they are a coordinated force. And together, they make sure the Morrigan's control over a conflict is absolute. They've got every angle covered, the psychological, the physical, and the political.
All right, so we've talked about all these big ideas, this reactive morphology, the 2 queens, her role as a judge. But how does this actually play out in the stories? Well, there's a story, the Parable of the Ford of Unshin, that is the perfect case study. It brings everything we've talked about together.
So, picture this. A single soldier, way too full of himself, walks up to a river ford. And what does he see? A truly horrifying sight. An old woman, a crone, washing his armor, covered in blood, in the water. He's just come face to face with the Phantom Queen, and he's looking at a vision of his own death.
So, why does he see that specific, terrifying vision? Because remember, she's a mirror. That crone is just a reflection of his own arrogance and his inevitable failure. She's testing his inner strength, and he's failing the test. Right then and there, she is judging his individual fate, and his alone.
But then, get this, a little while later, a high king comes to the exact same spot, and he doesn't see some terrifying old woman. Not at all. He sees a majestic, powerful, regal figure, the Great Queen. And she doesn't talk to him about his own death, she talks to him about the future of his entire dynasty.
So why the completely different vision? Because the king's stakes are so much higher. For him, this encounter is a test of his external legitimacy. Does he actually have the right to be king? She's judging the destiny of his nation and acting as a symbol for the entire social order he's supposed to uphold.
And this really hammers home the most important takeaway from that whole story. The Morrigan doesn't just show up. Her appearance is the judgment. It's a critique of whoever is looking at her, whether it's a prideful soldier about to die or a king who needs his rule to be validated.
Okay, so let's pull the camera all the way back and put all these pieces together. What is her ultimate purpose? She's not just a war goddess, she's not just a political figurehead. She is the literal weaver of fate itself.
She exists in this incredible space, acting as the bridge between the subconscious nightmares we all have and the physical crown a king wears. She's in charge of both the spirit and the soil, the terror in your soul and the stability of the kingdom.
So you see, the terror of the Phantom Queen and the authority of the Great Queen, they aren't opposites at all. They're two sides of the exact same coin. You simply can't have the power that makes a king legitimate without also having the terror that proves he's worthy of it. It's all one single, unified mythic force.
And that really leaves us with this final, pretty powerful thought. What the Morrigan teaches us is that real power, whether you're talking about ancient myths or our world right now, is never, ever simple. It's not just one thing. It's a complex, shifting, and often contradictory force that tests us on every level, both inside our own heads and out in the wider world.